I got to tell you, it's such a trip driving in this thing, or riding in this thing. I saw it over at Brian's shop the first time, and I thought, wow, what are you doing to this thing? And when he told me, I thought, that is so cool, dude.
Yeah, you need it a lot.
Yes, most of them do, huh? But a lot of the times they're totally worth it, which is really cool. And now, to be a sitting shotgun, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It came out way better than I expected.
Did it?
It was kind of opening a can of worms when I started this thing. I wanted an early Type 3, and I had no idea what it takes to build an early Type 3 and how hard the parts are to find. And it's not like building a 68 Squareback. Like this thing, if you want to do it right, you gotta source everything and you gotta find everything. And when we got it, it was rustier than I thought it was going to be. And we decided to take the body off, and then once you take the body off, you kind of just, open yourself to a lot of issues.
Opening up possibly a big can of worms, huh?
Yeah, but we did it, and we did it right, and Brian did a majority of all the work, and this thing just came out so good. I'm so happy with it.
That is so cool, man, and I love the way this thing rides.
Yeah, Type 3s, they're so underrated. Like, people just don't appreciate how nice a Type 3 drives, how much, I'm a big guy, how much leg room you have in here compared to a Beetle. That's what attracted me to them. That's what got me into Type 3s. I got long legs. I've been a tall guy my whole life, and my dad always had Beetles, and I never really fit them good. And then, when I was 16 and it was time to get a car, I was talked into a Squareback, and I've never looked back. I've owned half a dozen Type 3s over the years, and they're the best cars in my opinion. I love driving them.
I gotta say though, man, when you say talked into a Squareback, I've heard of people getting talked into like a K car or something, but I could be talked into a Squareback. Oh, very cool. Good morning from beautiful Southern California. And you guys, today, the talk of the town is this guy right here, Andy Kimball. Andy, good morning. How are you, man?
Good. How are you, Eddie?
Good, dude. Hey, so the other day I'm looking on Facebook and on Instagram, everywhere, dude, and I'm seeing that, well, this little beauty right here is finally on the road.
Yeah.
And man, I got to tell you, first thing I thought of was, I got to go see Andy. I got to talk to him about this. So, number one, congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, man? Are you stoked about it or what?
I'm super happy. This thing has been a little over a year project, and it was one of those things where I wanted an early Type 3, and it just kind of, opened a can of worms and became a lot bigger project than I thought it was going to be. But in the end, I'm extremely happy. It's such a great car. It drives so nice. Everything
That's
is
so cool.
Exactly how I kind of intended it to be, and I'm very, very happy with the end result.
That's awesome.
So.
That is awesome. Now, when I think of Type 3s, it's funny. It's like I always think of a handful of guys. Josh, Mike Runyon, Brian Roth, you. So let's go back and learn a little bit about you. Obviously, your dad, Rich Kimball. I don't think you had a choice, man.
No.
You were probably baptized with gasoline or something.
Yeah.
You got into Volkswagens obviously when you were little. But what was your first love? Was it a Type 1? Was it a Type 3? What was it?
It was definitely a Type 3. My first car I ever bought was a 65 Squareback.
Okay.
I bought it from Norm Batchelder at Mesa West.
No way.
And it was $2,000. And he let me come to his shop after school and work until I paid it off, pretty much. So
you're kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my sister had a ruby red 66 Beetle that I got to drive because she was going to college, and my dad wouldn't let her take it to Long Beach State. So that was kind of like my car to drive when I was 16. And I'd go to school at Tustin High, and I'd hop in it after school, drive to Norm's shop, work there for 2 or 3 hours, sweeping floors and helping guys do oil changes or adjust brakes. And I did that for 3 or 4 months until I made enough money to pay Norm off for the Squareback. And
wow.
that was my first Volkswagen, my first Type 3, my first love.
Dude, that's so
then,
cool.
I've been obsessed with Type 3s. Like they've been my favorite ever since. So.
Oh my God. So, that's the thing about the VW community that I love, is the fact that, here you tell me about how Norm let you come over and work it off. Oh my God, Norm has known you, dude, since you were just a punk teenager.
My dad and Norm were in Newport Beach Volkswagen Club together.
Okay.
So my dad's known Norm since the the 60s. They've been very good friends, and yeah, that's kind of how it all started. Norm had Mesa West for 50 years, and
yeah,
I would take, after I got the car, that's where I would take my cars to get serviced and stuff. And yeah, Norm's been like a second dad to me. I love
that's
that
so
guy,
cool, dude. That is cool. And so you had that 65, and then what happened to that 65?
So I drove it for about a year or two, and then Lenny Kopp came over to our house one day and he saw it. And at that time, the market for Type 3s going to Japan was very high. A lot of guys were selling cars to Japan, and Lenny had customers looking for Squarebacks. And so, I think I had $2,000, $2,500 invested it, and he offered me $6,000 for it.
No way.
And my eyes got big, and I'm like, whoa, I'm tripling my money on this thing. So I sold it to him, and he immediately sold it to Japan. I think Shin Mukai bought it.
No.
Which is weird because this car came from Shin Mukai.
No way.
I've bought, a handful of cars off Shin over the years. So I think it went to Shin, and then Shin ended up selling it, in Japan.
Right.
But that was my first car, and it was a 65, but it had some weird stuff, some late model stuff put on it, but it was a great first car. But since then, I've owned another half a dozen or so Type 3s, and I've had fastbacks and squarebacks, and they've just always been such nice drivers. They're kind of underappreciated in the Volkswagen world, I feel like.
Well, yeah, no, and it's funny that you say that, because I think a lot of people don't know so much about them. Me personally, I never learned anything about Type 3s until I met you guys that I just mentioned, and just learning about the intricacies. And then just when you think you've seen one Type 3 that they're all alike, then you start looking at these closely and you're going, absolutely not, dude, they're totally different. So will you give us a quick walk around? Yeah, okay. And definitely geek out on it as far as like all the what's different and so forth.
So I wanted an early Type 3. When I say early, like 61 to 63 is kind of like the early Type 3 years.
Okay.
And for Squarebacks, they didn't start producing them until February of 62. So they only really produced a 62 model for about 6 months. This car is August 62, so it's technically a 63 model.
Okay.
It's about 3 weeks into production of the 63 model, but it still has a lot of the early 62 weird stuff on it, like the super early hood emblem. It's got the early washer bottle inside.
So this emblem, it's only how many years?
It's only 61, 62, and then early 63. Later in 63, they went to the more Beatles style hood emblem.
Look at that. It kind of looks wedgy, I guess.
It looks fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it, it looks like someone made it in art class or something. It definitely doesn't look like the VW hood emblems you're used to seeing on Beatles and stuff. So.
Right. Now, is there such a thing as a US spec and Euro spec?
So on the early cars, Lee Hedges has a variant, which is a squareback registry, and there's some research on there. I believe on the early cars, as far as squarebacks are concerned, there's a script on the back, and I think US cars got a 1500 logo and European cars got a variant, and I could be mistaken.
Okay.
But that's just kind of what I've learned by doing some research online. This car was actually built and delivered to Copenhagen, Denmark.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't spend much time there because I have the black plates that came on it, and they had like a 64 registration year on it.
Oh, wow.
So it didn't spend much time in Denmark, maybe a year or two.
So could it have been a tourist delivery?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe someone bought it, took it to Denmark, did the tourist delivery thing, and then shipped it home.
Okay.
Because it had black plates on it with 64 registration.
Wow.
So if it's a 63 and only a year later, they're already putting a tag on it.
Yeah.
And then Alex from ISP West found this car in the early 90s, and I was just talking to him the other day. He doesn't remember where he found it, but he found it in a field somewhere. The windows were all shot out. There's BB holes down the side.
What?
And he had it, and he stored it at ISP. He eventually sold it to Shin Mukai, who I bought it from. But it was stored in ISP since the 90s.
So did it go to Japan or not?
No, it never did.
Oh, it stayed, okay.
Yeah, Shin bought it and kept it here. He stored it at ISP. He always had hopes of restoring it one day. Alex was just saying he couldn't find all the right parts, and they just never got to it. And I was lucky enough when I was looking for an early Type 3. I really wanted an early squareback. I just happened to send Shin a message. I'm like, hey, do you have an early squareback? I know you're selling some cars. And He's like, I got this Golf Blue one at Alex's shop, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll go look at it. And then, 3 weeks later, I bought it.
It's kind of scary when you ask someone if they have something or if they're willing to sell it, and they're like, come on over. You're thinking, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
So now you're saying that the windows were shot out. Were all of them? I mean, some of this window rubber looks super
this is
original.
The only one that was shot out was this window and this vent wing.
Oh,
and you
okay,
can see
okay.
It had a bunch of dings on it, like someone was probably shooting BBs or something at it. But this window was completely gone, and this window was gone, which caused the complete heater channel on the driver's side to rust out. So I think it got shot out, sat in a field, and just destroyed. I mean, the driver's seat was rusted out, the pans were wasted.
Wow.
So that's when we made the decision to pull the body off.
Okay.
And then we took and then Brian broke the chassis all down, and we took it to Washburn, and Washburn completely restored the chassis.
Wow.
And it was a handful. I mean, it's not like doing a Beetle chassis. Like, you have to hunt down all the correct stuff, and Washburn did an amazing job. Powder coated it perfect. I mean, underneath this car, everything is new.
Really?
So it's from front to back, all brand new with just the original body put back on.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
I love that, because I mean, most people would probably just look at this and say, wow, look at that old car, man. It's all, when are you going to restore it? But
you're going to paint that thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The patina on this is so nice though.
Yeah.
I mean, just every little spot of it is really, really, really cool. But yeah, I was tripping out on the rubber, man, on the window rubber.
Luckily the windshield is reproduced. So when I got a new dash from my friend Jason, and fortunate enough to find a wraparound Type 3 dash, which are near impossible to find.
Now, when you say wraparound,
so they call it a wraparound because on the early cars, they wrap into the door panel. So this one has a wrap around it. And then in '66, they got rid of the wraparound, and it just cuts off, and they no longer have the upper door panel section.
No way, that is really cool.
Yeah.
This is neat. Now, I'll take advantage of the fact that we're in here. Tell me about the push buttons here. I mean, what? Explain to me. I mean, I could kind of try to make sense. I guess one light switch, but what else is it?
Yeah. So the far right one is your headlight switch.
Okay.
The one next to that one is your parking lights.
Okay.
And then the dimmer in the middle is actually pretty cool. It's a top dimmer and a bottom dimmer. One dims the lights, and one controls the speed on the wiper motor.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So
no way.
And I didn't even know that. Brian actually, Brian went through all the electrical. Everything works in this car.
Dude.
It's a European model, so when the key's off and you put the turn signal switch down, the side marker lights up. So that's what you would do when you park on the streets. That you were required to leave a light on at night when you park. So
no way.
So yeah, so it has a right and a left. Whichever side you do, it turns the.
Really?
That's basically the only reason you have a side marker is for that parking. They don't flash when you put on the turn signal.
Oh,
they don't turn on when you turn your headlights. The only reason to have that is for parking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
See, I always thought they were like for turn signals or something.
And maybe later on the later cars,
where the red and white,
they got lowered and they were in the line of the trim, because later cars have a molding down the side. So I don't know if later on they were used as a turn signal or if they were used as a running light while you're driving. But for this car, it was strictly a parking light.
Now I got a question for you, because I think I learned something when I interviewed Josh. The rocker molding. So there's a difference between early and late, because it's like a slash.
Yeah, so it has the early slash on it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure
it's
when
so
they
subtle too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could barely tell. That is something else. Now, the other thing that's interesting, now these wheels, what year did they run? And it's funny because I wonder how many people bought these as bus wheels that are swap meet.
I actually picked one up at Sacramento Swap Meet
for
$20 because the guy bought it because he wanted a bus wheel and he thought it was a bus wheel and he was all mad. And I knew it was a Type 3 wheel, and I'm like, how much you want for the wheel? He's like, $20. He's like, I thought it was for a bus. I wasted money on that thing. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And that's where one of these wheels came from.
Oh, that's pretty funny, man. That is funny. I'm laughing right now at the dog barking in the background, because last time when we did the interview with Josh and his notchback dude, there was a dog that just wouldn't shut up. I'm like, are we going to go down this route again? It must be a Type 3 /dog thing, you know? Right? So, wow, that's cool. Learning about the side markers. That is a trip, dude. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, also, I was going to ask you with regard to the horn ring. Is that a Type 3 only thing,
That was,
or is that an accessory?
That's an accessory.
Okay.
Bob Koch gave me that years ago I had a 65 panel Squareback, and I never put it on the car. It's a reproduction of the original.
Okay.
The horn ring that was in there was just really corroded and nasty. So, and I've been wanting to put that on a car for a while, so I put that on the other day.
Well, I think it's neat, man. I think it's definitely cool. Very cool. And then the knobs, I noticed there's knobs to the left of the dash, or to the left of the glove box. What are those?
Those are fresh air knobs.
Fresh air, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
So they're early with the blue dots. I believe Josh's car actually has writing on them. Those are those
his
real
does.
early ones. His car's, I think his car's December 61.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. He's got a really early car, so his will even have earlier stuff than this car.
Okay. And I noticed that the heater knob has a red knob on it, or a red dot.
Yeah, that's the early style heater knob.
That's pretty cool, man. No, it's definitely interesting. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, there goes the dog barking.
Yeah, I know. Here, this time we'll show the dog. Oh, I love it, huh? It's either kids or animals. You can't work with them. Okay. All right, we're gonna take another chance, right, Andy? I think Clementine, that was the name of the dog. The neighbor here came out super sweet, and she was like, "Oh, that's Clementine." Well, it's like, Clementine, just let us film. Anyway, so hey, finishing the topic on the wheel. Yeah. So you ended up buying one off a guy that he thought he bought a bus wheel.
Exactly. Yeah, and I ended up getting them all painted. I had one original paint wheel under the hood, and they matched the paint perfect.
Awesome.
But it's basically a bus wheel. It looks,
it looks like
it's very similar. It just doesn't have hubcap clips, so it's like a 66, 67 wheel. It has a flat hubcap, and these are Type 3 specific hubcaps, so they're very thin, and they don't. The VW logo is bumped in and not bumped out.
Okay.
So it's a Type 3 specific hubcap.
It's a 15-inch wheel, though?
Yeah, 15-inch wheel.
All right. So, yeah, I could see how somebody would be like, hey, man, is that a crow's foot?
Yeah, exactly.
That's something else. Now, as far as the taillights go, is this the European-style taillight where it's kind of more...
Yeah, with the amber on top. I mean, these are considered flats.
Flats.
Yeah, so they have flats, and they have the regular taillight, and you can get either one with all red or amber tops.
So was it an option? As far as like or was it a U.S. European
which cars got flats and which cars didn't get flats.
Okay.
This car, when I bought it, it had flats on it.
Oh, okay.
It had this, but they were just super spider web. I bought these because they're basically the same one that was on it, and I don't know if flats was an early thing or what. But
I think it looks cool. They really go with the profile of the fender, you know? I mean, I think it looks really cool. So now, being a 63, can we take a peek at the engine?
Sure.
Because I'm always hearing stuff about like, oh, wow, it's so cool to see that it's got the original side draft.
Yeah, so the funny thing about this drivetrain, I had a 65 panel Squareback right-hand drive from Australia.
Oh, I remember that.
And so the whole drivetrain out of this car is from that car. So I sold that car to my buddy Justin up north, and he took that car, put a big motor and transmission, disc brakes. And this car didn't come with a motor, so I wanted another side draft motor for it. Justin was nice enough to sell me everything: transmission, axles, motor.
Sweet.
So we swapped that right into here. I knew it ran good. I knew everything worked, so I didn't have to really do anything to it.
That's nice.
So it is still a side draft motor. It is not a 63 motor. I have the original transmission. But I opted to put this one in just because I knew it worked, and I wanted to get the car running and driving. The other one might have needed to work. I'm not sure, but I knew this was all going to go in perfect. So
I was noticing the tiny little details, man. Those little rubber clips.
Yeah, those are always missing or broken or crusty.
Alex probably has those, right?
Yeah. Alex, I mean, I bought a lot of stuff from Alex. He had a lot of stuff in his car.
Wow, look at this, dude. You know, it's so interesting that these hatches on Type 3s, that they started so early. It's like, why couldn't they have done that for buses?
Exactly.
And, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they didn't start it on buses till 73.
God, I know. That's crazy.
They only did it because they went to the Type 4 motor, and they're so hard to work on without having a hatch. I've seen guys put the hatches in early buses, though, just to make it easier to maintain them. And
no, it definitely does. But this is cool, man. So there's the little carburetor. So what size is that carburetor?
I think it's a...
Would it be a 28, you think? I don't think it'd be a 30, would it?
I think it's a 30. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, yeah, I guess maybe for the... Oh, there it is. Hang on, let's see. I'll zoom in on that.
32.
Wow. 32 to PHN, PHN1. That's pretty neat. That's really cool. What a trip, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
God, and that air cleaner. So this air cleaner, also an early air cleaner?
Yeah, so it's side draft only.
Oh, side draft only.
Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense. It's just such a trip. You know, the other thing that's interesting on these is when you know, you could actually see the street. Like you open it up and you know, and there's the street. You would think that it would all be kind of more enclosed.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like on a, well, yeah, like on a Type 1 or Type 2.
Yeah, because
you don't really see it.
It's funny because the cooling system comes in from the sides,
right?
And it comes to the front, and then here's the bow. So it sucks all the air in from the front as opposed to an upright motor where the cooling's out of the back.
Right. Okay.
So all the air is brought in like this through this duct and then pushes into the motor from there.
I'll tell you, you know, one of the things that I'm always amazed by is the engineering, man. Whoever thought of, you know, hey, what if we went ahead and brought in the air this way, blah, 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 you know, I mean, just, it's incredible. I mean, sometimes I try to fix something around the house and I'm like, I don't know. You know, in the meantime, you got these people just coming up with these amazing contraptions.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Squarebacks are a trip, man. It's like having a little truck.
Yeah.
Because you just lower the back seat down, right? And then
yeah, so
it looks like the
front seat
mat
will
went all the way.
forward. Yeah, the front seat, the bottom cushion folds forward and the back folds down.
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
Alex just actually released, he started making the camping hinges, which the camping hinges allow, I think, the bottom seat to go forward and fold down, and then you have a full, you could like actually sleep in the back of it.
Dude.
And it was a rare accessory, and now Alex actually makes those.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That is smart. That is very cool. Well, that's awesome, man. That's pretty neat, though, that you took the drivetrain out of the other one. So it's almost like, you know, having driven your right-hand drive one, you're like, oh, okay, same car.
So Squarebacks had a little tab right here. This is missing.
Okay.
So you can go right here and hang it right here and hold the engine, hold the lid up.
Really?
Yeah, so there's remnants of it, but it's a little rope or a little, right here had a little hook on it.
No way.
To hold the engine. But they're always gone because they always got destroyed over the years and they never really lasted.
That's so cool. I love that kind of stuff, you know, where it's just all those little details.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, dude. It would have been rad to have a back hatch in the bus.
Over the years.
Yep. So now the roof, obviously, you know, a lot of the paint has faded. So, but it wouldn't have been two-tone, right? Would it have been all solid or what?
I know notchbacks got two-toned. I don't think Squarebacks ever got two-toned.
Okay.
You could get a notchback with like, I think either a white roof or a black roof. I'm not 100% sure. I don't believe Squarebacks ever got white roofs. I could be mistaken. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
All the early Squarebacks I've seen have had solid roofs. There is one on the registry. There is a black one that's earlier than this by a few months, and I think it has a white roof on it. I don't know if it was restored that way or if that's originally how it came. But you do see early notchbacks with white roofs.
And now, speaking of roofs, when did the first sunroof ones become available?
You know, Josh would know that better than me because I know there was, they call it like the refrigerator door sunroof. It was like a big, huge one that just kind of slid back, and you saw that on early Type 3s. I think even early Type 34s had an electric sunroof at one point.
Oh, really?
But sunroofs on Type 3s are very rare as opposed to Beetles. Like when you have a sunroof in a Type 3, it really adds value to the price because you just don't see sunroofs that often.
Interesting. I think isn't Josh's is his Squareback? Was that sunroof? 8
is a
okay,
sunroof, yeah.
That's right. Real quick, so looking at this mirror, this looks like a Type 3 only thing with this little stem.
Yeah, with that little safety pin on there.
Oh well, the safety pin's funny. That's funny. Yeah, it's got to make you wonder what that is.
Yeah, it was on there when I got it, and I'm like, I just leave that on there. I kind of like it.
You never know, dude. It might come in handy. Maybe it's like a throttle, you know, some sort of throttle saving grace.
Clean out, something.
But the little pad, so I'm assuming that's just for anti-vibration, maybe, you think, or what?
So Justin from up north, Type 3 Army, he actually 3D prints these.
Oh, wow,
So he sent me that when I was doing the car, and it goes in there and just helps with vibration on the mirror.
That's so funny. I mean, it's like, makes you wonder just how much did it actually vibrate, you know?
Yeah.
So now, moving into the interior, yeah, you could go in from that side if you want. Tell me, Tell me about this interior, dude. I love the print and I love the door panels, and I'm having a hard time believing that this is still in such good shape.
So when I got this car, it was so rusty on this side.
Okay.
The driver's seat, the base was just gone. It was complete, and the material was gone. I was very lucky. I ordered a set of seat covers. There's a company up north, SMS Upholstery, that still has this original material. They're the only one who has it. I ordered a set of seat covers from them, and it took like 9 months.
Oh wow!
So in that time, I needed to find seats too, because this one was rusted out. So Mario Steinhauser in Germany, he pulled these out of an early notchback, and he had a complete set, front and rears, and I didn't need the rears, and I was trying to talk him out of selling the fronts. And we went back and forth for a few weeks, and he ended up finding a buyer for the rear seat.
No way.
And I was very fortunate enough to buy these complete seats, original upholstery from him, and he shipped them from Germany.
Dude.
And I had them, the box came, I opened them up, I looked at them, and then I wrapped them right back in the box, and I just stashed them until they were ready to go in. And Brian reassembled them all, and Brian even made the comment, he's like, these are the nicest Type 3 seats he'd ever seen.
Wow.
They didn't need anything, everything bolted right up.
Wow.
And they just went in really smooth.
That's so cool.
To be able to find, it's like holy grail to be able to find seats like this with this original upholstery on it. It's very, very hard to do.
What is there a name to it?
Some people call it salt and pepper. Some people call it just gray mesh. But yeah, I don't know what the technical term is.
Is it a certain year only type of thing?
1, 2, and 3 only, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I think it's so rad, dude. So cool.
Yeah, the door panels are a little hammered. I would love to find some material and make some, because this door panel, the lower half is a separate piece. So you could actually make new cardboard, and if I found some more material, I'd like to make some new lowers.
Right.
Josh actually found me this armrest. My armrest was completely gone.
Wow.
So Josh found me this armrest, and we put that in. And
that's so cool.
The back seat, no one will probably ever sit in, so I'm not too worried about it. It gets really discolored with age. Like you can really see
the oils and stuff.
Originally how it looks, and but even like the mats in this car are original gray mats, which are very hard to find.
God.
So it's got the original mats in it. It's got the rear piece along this panel right here. This, if you look at the pattern. This is all like early stuff, so you can see the gray pattern on it. We had to carefully take this off when the pan was done. Then Washburn had to replace this entire metal piece.
Oh my gosh.
And then Brian was able to fit this all back on like factory.
Yeah, that is so cool, man. I mean, it's incredible the condition that it's in. You know, especially like even around the pedals, you only have that one little split between the clutch and the brake.
Yeah, I stored these things. When I pulled them out of the car, I just found a flat spot to store them for a year.
Right.
I put them out in the sun before we put them in to kind of soften them up. I scrubbed it to try to get the little rust stains off.
Right.
The only thing I need to do now is figure out a carpet kit for it.
Okay.
Because these cars only had carpet on the kick panels and down the sides.
Oh, I see.
So there's no carpet that goes up and over the tunnel. It's just the mat. So.
And you know, it's interesting that it was actually just glued on. I don't see any little holes.
Yeah,
like
think it was all
some of the
just
early ones that were nailed in.
Yeah.
Or at least Type 1s.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Well, dude, I'm impressed. I'm blown away. It's just absolutely stunning. Oh, I was going to ask you, over here, there's a little tab down here at the bottom of the pillar. What is that?
That's the seat relief. So these cars, what's that?
What year is it?
63.
A 63?
Yeah.
Is that a Type 3?
It is.
Yeah. Good luck with it.
Thank you. So Type 3's introduced almost like a safety feature.
Okay.
When the door shuts, it pushes that tab in, and it will lock the backrest in place. And when the door opens, it releases that tab and allows the backrest to come forward. So when you shut the door, it locks this in place. Like, see, this one actually isn't hooked up, so right now it's locked in place.
Okay. All right.
But I'm missing the tab on this side, so that's something I need to find.
All right. So people watching, if you know where that tab is, man, contact Andy. That is so wild, man. I mean, it's so funny. Again, it's like, okay, so this is from 63, but yet, you know, my 67 walkthrough passenger seat is just two little hooks
Yep.
that hold the backrest up. It's like, okay, so
and like Beetles, like there was no catch or anything.
Right.
Until later when they added the latch on it.
yeah.
It's like oval windows and stuff. The seat just goes forward.
That is funny. I mean, it's like they got super, innovative with this car, and then the other ones just kind of went to the wayside. So tell me real quick about these dashes. What, people are always talking about how, oh wow, it's obviously pristine, blah blah blah. Where do these normally break? Is it where the speaker
Well, you can
is,
see
or what?
right here. This one actually has a crack starting.
Okay, but this is original.
This is an original dash. My friend Jason bought it, and he's had it for 10, 15 years.
Oh my god.
Stashed in his garage. And the dash I bought with this car, they always crack right in the radio, usually in the radio speaker holes right here.
Huh. So that's where
between
we
the
point.
gauges.
Okay.
This is actually a very common spot that they're going to crack.
Huh.
They crack around where the mounting holes are. So I was just going to leave the original dash in here cracked and run it, but Jason
it
had
matches,
this dash.
dude. Yeah.
And they're very expensive. These dashes can go for $1,000, $1,500.
Whoa.
If you find one that's nice and not cracked. Wraparound ones, maybe even more, But
Dude.
Jason had this dash and we talked about it. I'm like, I don't mind spending the money, but like it's a special dash and I know you've had it for this long.
Right.
And he was kind of like, look, I'm not going to do another wraparound car. He's actually restoring a 66 Pigalle Squareback right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's the first year of the non-wraparound dash.
Wow.
So we worked a deal and I got the dash and I picked it up at Kelly Park and it's been stashed in my garage and temperature controlled, and I've got foam underneath it.
Dude, I know. In fact, right now I'm seeing the sun on it. I'm like, we gotta get out of here.
I usually I put a t-shirt over it to kind of, if I'm driving, I'll put a t-shirt because you get right here where it starts to feel hot.
Yep.
So you just gotta, you gotta keep an eye on them. They're very hard to find, and that's the one thing. If someone would just reproduce a quality dash, it would really change.
I'm surprised, man. I mean, it's got to be expensive.
West Coast Metric actually had a very nice reproduction in like the 90s, I want to say.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if they lost the mold or if they lost the tooling. But they stopped making it, and it's really unfortunate because the only option for a dash right now is the 71 and later dash, which has the big speaker hole on it, and it just doesn't look right when you put it in an early car. There's technically like 4 different dashes. There's the early wraparound. There's a 66 only dash, which is basically a non-wraparound with the same speaker holes. So it's a solid speaker hole. And then in 67, non-wraparound with the line down the middle. And they ran that until 70. And in 71, they got the... So the one that's reproduced is like the late one that the guys don't want, but it's the only option available. So.
There you go. The more you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man, that there's that many dashes.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I remember learning is this side view mirror. I guess cat eye? Is that what it's called?
Cat eye, yeah.
Okay.
So this car I think is right on the cusp of when they went away from the cat eye and when they went to the oval shape mirror. When I got this car, it had a cat eye on it, and the mirror was smashed, and it was old and crusty. So I'm just going off the belief that it originally had a cat eye. I don't know why anyone would have changed it out that early. So I had another cat eye that I put on here, and Squarebacks actually ran a passenger side mirror.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a hole over there, and a passenger side cat eye is next to impossible to ever find. So I will either run an oval mirror over there or just put a plug in it and block it off.
Interesting. Now, even none of the crazy Type 3 guys have
Alex has one in his display case.
Yeah.
I just saw him the other day, and I was showing him the car for the first time.
Is it one of those not for sale days?
He just was like, well, one day when I die, you can have the mirror.
Come
I'm
on.
I'm like, come on, man, it's just sitting there. You're never going to use it.
I know.
But I'm okay plugging it off or putting a different mirror in it. It's fine. Anyway.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, I'm impressed, dude. I think it's so awesome, and I'm stoked that you're so happy.
It came out so good. There's a big Type 3 rally in October, and I've been to every one. This is going to be the 4th or 5th one. I can't remember, but I drove my fastback to the first 2 or 3, and then I took my panel Squareback to the last one, and I've never missed one. I've always had a Type 3 at one.
Awesome.
And I was getting worried because this thing, when Brian was doing the rust repair on it, it just, like I said, it turned into a can of worms. And I didn't think it was going to be done, and now here we are 3 months early.
Dude.
You know, I thought this would be down to the wire.
Uh-huh.
It's running, driving, ready. I can put some miles on it,
Yeah.
work out all the kinks.
Work out all the kinks, yeah.
And then take it up to the rally. So I'm really excited to get it up there and go do that.
I think it's great, man. Well, congratulations, Andy. Seriously, I'm really, really stoked for you. This is beautiful. Hopefully people that are watching, if you guys get a chance, I mean, it's bitchin' seeing it through the video, but seeing it in person, it's just mind-boggling. All the little details, all the little intricacies of this car, it's so cool. And I think that the neatest thing too is just the fact that, you know, you've got a car that was basically out to die, you know, and now suddenly new life has been breathed into it. And I mean, and now it says it's a shiny jewel, man, in the garage. So
well, not too shiny, but
you know,
it's definitely a jewel to me. And I like the looks it gets. You know, not a lot of people understand the patina thing. And
oh, I know.
I love it. I will take an original car over a restored car any day. I love stock. I love original. I always tell everyone I've never been a performance guy. I prefer my 36 horses over a 2-liter any day.
Yeah.
And this is like what I really like. I like a nice, clean stock car.
No, you know, you've done it right, man, and I think it's beautiful. See, look at that. Already getting a compliment from an adult on a little kid's electric bike. Doesn't get better than that.
Right?
Andy, thank you for your time, dude. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. So let's drive her back home and listen to it.
Cool.
It'll be fun.
Right
Thanks,
on.
man.